Hello and welcome. I'm glad you could join me in today's edition of Fireworks, your preferred hard talk interview program on TVC. In the last 1 week, following the gradual increase in the spread of the coronavirus in the country, there has been some misinformation, and the National Assembly happens to be one of the talking points in this misinformation. So in today's edition, let's do some fact checks, because misinformation may be even more dangerous than the spread itself. Of course, we'll also explore some other talking points. Let's take a moment. We'll be right back. Welcome to the program. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo, and my guest today is the spokesman of the House of Representatives, and he's representing Bende Federal Constituency in Abia State, Honorable Benjamin Kalu. Welcome to the program. Well, because of the coronavirus, we'll do this. All right. It is a perception out there that the virus is elitist, or those contracting the virus form the elite class. And perhaps we can safely say that this is also confirmed that because of the class of people coming down with the virus. So how true is it then that 25 lawmakers allegedly or tested positive to the coronavirus?
That is a very wrong narrative to say that it is very selective, that the virus is selective. The virus knows no social status, it knows no political status, it knows no economic status. For the big and the small, you must make steps to protect yourself. It's a wrong narrative to believe that, oh, it's for the rich. It is not. Yes, because it's an imported virus. People who are of the upper class, who have privilege of traveling within the period, and to those areas that had the emergency situation are more affected. But suffice that to say that it's a wrong perception to be careless, thinking because you are not a politician, you are not rich, that this virus will not get to you. It's a wrong narrative. Members of the National Assembly, 25 in number, 10 from the Senate and 15 from the House of Reps, are infected. They are not confirmed. I don't speak for the Senate, but I speak for the House of Representatives. And we have chains of flow of communication, especially official communication. In this case, we rely on the statistics provided by the Chairman Committee on Health Services, as well as Chairman Committee on Health Institution, and they are expected to get their statistics from authentic source, which in this case is the NCDC and the Ministry of Health. And my last interaction with them today revealed that that information flying around is fake. And we have checked through our members. We've not noticed anyone who is in the hospital.
How did you do this check? Did you do a roll call? And could this have been fueled by reports that your members returning from trips abroad have not been subjecting themselves to checks?
That's another topic. You see, we are a house of 360 people. And these 360 people are broken into committees of about 105 committees. So at the committee level, it's like cell group, you know each other. And we interact with various platforms. And there has not been any incident, there has not been any information from anybody in the committee saying, oh, this my brother or this my sister has not been seen for quite a long time, or when we raised the question, there was nothing like that.
But how can
they are not different.
Have the assurances that the plenary that was held today was not constituted by members who had just returned from trips abroad and should be on isolation?
You see, what is applicable to the House or in the House is applicable in any other part of the society. The directive is there. If you come into the country, pass through the screening machine, and there is no reason for anyone to pass through the airport without passing through the screening machine. And if the screening machine says that your temperature is suspicious, there is no reason that stops the people monitoring, supervising the screening from keeping you aside, because there are security agencies there. And if that was not done at that point, you cannot later on come and say the 15 members there are sick. Since you observed that they did not pass through, you had every right to stop them, because the screening machine is before the passport point. If you are not screened, the passport immigration officers will not attend to you. You see why we consider it as, fake news. But having said that, the intent of that letter, no matter where it emanated from, was a good one. Not just targeting the House of Rep members. And that is why I've been preaching that House of Rep members should not see that somebody is trying to cast aspersion on them, on the integrity of their being disciplined to make sure that Nigeria is safe, as being patriotic.
Now, the former vice president and the candidate of the PDP in the just concluded in the 2019 presidential election has announced that his son tested positive for the coronavirus. Now, had he not come out to disclose to Nigerians, Nigerians would not have known that his son tested positive. Now, based on these assurances that you are giving me that members of the National Assembly are complying, will you back that up by making a call on the NCDC, the Ministry of Health, to publish the names of those who go down with the virus?
We cannot tell NCDC what to do with their job. That's the executive arm.
It's not telling them what to do with their job.
In
public interest, the virus is not a death sentence. When Nigerians carry the perception that the virus is a death sentence, the fear is even more dangerous. So in public interest, publish the names of those who will come down with the virus.
You see, in as much as it sounds so fantastic, this idea, the House operates through motions and bills. We don't just wake up and say, you do this or you do that. And in doing that, we must respect the principle of separation of powers. They are not directly under us. We oversight the activities. I know the people managing this virus are experienced to do that. I won't tell them publish the name of a person who is sick. Remember also, the doctor that is handling any particular patient is under a confidential obligation to maintain the confidentiality of the patient that is before him.
This is a special case.
That is for them to decide.
Relatedly now, there are concerns that the number of cases may be more than is being officially disclosed because of the nature of the spread of the virus. And then calls put through to the NCDC coronavirus tool suggest or reveal rather, because I have seen some of the reports, that the attendant, so to speak, on the other end says you cannot be tested until you show the full symptoms, not all of the symptoms. And in the FCT, there is no isolation center yet. Now, are these forming concerns of the House of Representatives and National Assembly before it goes on recess? And will there be any resolution to that effect to tackle these concerns?
Yes. Today there was a motion that was moved. And that motion was for the NCDC, the Ministry of Health, to consider the use of schools that are empty at the moment. You will recall that students were asked to go home. So there's no reason to say we don't have isolation center. Convert all the schools to isolation center. Very soon, isolation centers will be spread across board. That is one. Secondly, there was another part of the resolution was that the House mandated the federal government, after commending them for what they are doing, mandated that they should open up isolation centers with the state governors in all the states of the Federation. That was moved today. Now, on the other side of your question, which has to do with the equipment, the kits, and not the rest of them. But before I come to that, you mentioned that when people call in for tests, that they are asked to wait until they develop symptoms. I don't believe that is true.
All of the symptoms?
I don't believe that is true.
But there's evidence.
I don't know until I see that evidence, because I know the director of the NCDC that we interacted with. I'm also in health committee. I'm in health institution and I'm in health services, so I have access to them. The head of the NCDC that I interacted with, in his analysis of what they intend to do to get this achieved, did not at any point mention that when people call in for tests, they'll be asked to wait. No.
Have you called?
I've not gotten.
So there is evidence to that effect.
You have a recorded evidence to that effect.
Recorded
That
evidence.
you called. Maybe I'll try and call the line and find out for myself. We also mandated the federal government to form what we call emergency corps. Emergency health corps will be a team that will be recruited and equipped and trained to be able to make service available better than it is now. I'm sure with the implementation of this resolution that was reached today, Nigerians are going to have more access to these services. In line with what you just asked, we moved an emergency bill, which we call Economic Emergency Stimulus Bill. Economic Emergency Stimulus Bill 2020. It was given a fast track from first reading, second reading, third reading, committee of the whole. We have passed it, but it's now waiting for the concurrence of the Senate. The intention of the bill is to save the jobs of the employees who might be affected by this coronavirus.
Coronavirus knows no class, knows no status, and is not elitist in its spread. Let's take a moment. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. My guest today is the House spokesman of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, representing Bende Federal Constituency in Abia State. And we have dispelled with the report about 25 lawmakers going down with the coronavirus. It's not true, and the House spokesman has clarified that indeed all National Assembly members are complying with the expert advice of self-isolation. You talk about hard times before the break, and how the budget was predicated on $52 per barrel, but because of the coronavirus, the price of oil has slumped to between $25 and $27 per barrel. Now, in these hard times, and especially because of that, the House was unable to propose, or you say that an emergency financial package cannot be given to Nigerians. So is it fair that the National Assembly is going ahead with the 37 billion naira budgeted for the renovation of the complex?
I am actually surprised that there's no more investigative journalism, because this question keep popping up every now and then. Is it that the journalists are now tired of digging deep? This property in question is under the FCDA, and we have no hands in it. Whatever amount they want to handle is
But you're current beneficiaries of it.
What do you call? We will have to stay in an office to do our job. We have no hand in the amount of the project, how much, who is given to, how much is being meant for. It is the FCDA. It's their property. So Nigerians should stop attacking the National Assembly on something that is within the exclusive reserve of the FCDA.
But has the National Assembly shown a sense of responsibility by calling for a reduction in the amount budgeted for the renovation, or that the amount itself be redirected to another aspect of infrastructure development that demands importance and will be for the benefit of and the well-being of the generality of Nigerians?
Are you saying that we are now the assessors of the contract given by the ACT? How do we know whether the amount is enough or not? You know, there is this hasty conclusion that is outside there. Are we all knowing? Julius Berger built this so many years ago, and the people want to fix it. We know it is bad. I just came back and I saw how I was waiting. I came back from a press briefing that I do once every week. The press corp center. The press center is as hot as a kitchen with so many stoves. You go to the toilet. You cannot use the toilet very well, and I can go on and on.
Honorable Carlo, in spite of your argument, 37 billion naira is a humongous sum, not for the construction of a new structure, for the renovation of a structure. And if we look at the 2020 budget, 30 billion naira was budgeted for a whole program of empowerment for Nigerians. But 37 billion naira has been budgeted for the renovation of a structure. In fact, for the Ministry of Interior, 28 billion naira was budgeted for an entire ministry that has programs running throughout the year. So
entire ministry?
It begs the question that a whole 37 billion naira, if you're as dispassionate as you are about that sum for the renovation of the National Assembly, because it is beyond the purview jurisdiction of members, it will be handled by the FCT, why not call for a reduction or a redirection of that sum to another sector of the economy that will benefit the entire Nigeria? First,
I want to clear a little bit of misconception that is in the mind of Nigerians. Look at the comparative analysis he just did now. You are comparing an arm of government to a Ministry of Interior. You just did. And this is what Nigerians are taking to the bank, and they are not able to cash it out. An arm of government is like the entire executive on one stand, the entire judiciary, FCT, Federal High Court, Appeal Court, Supreme Court, Ministry of Justice, all of them put together one side. That is the judiciary. The National Assembly, with National Assembly Service Commission, Public Complaint Commission, and other agencies under it, on one stand. But what I have noticed is that Nigerians don't understand this. But having said that, the amount in question, it is not for us to say it is big. It is not for us to say it is small. It is for us to see what the money is meant for. Because 360 people from 360 constituencies and that of the Senate gather here every day. It will not be good for you to collapse on top of them. Having said that, we are not arguing that 337 billion is too small. No. We are not saying it is too big. We are saying at the right time, you must justify what that money you use or you plan to use is meant for. So we're on the side of Nigerians.
You're sitting on the fence.
How do you mean?
You're saying it's not too small? Neither is your.
Because.
Neither are you saying that it is too big?
Of course, because you see, how costly or how expensive an item is determined by the value it creates. It's determined by what it is used for. You know, what is expensive may not be costly. And what is costly may not be expensive. It is for you to break it down. Let us wait and see a total breakdown of 37 billion. Do we need
for the renovation of a structure, not for the construction ground up of a structure? Let's exit that and also look at, relatedly, the delivery of cars that you have begun to take also in these hard times.
Delivery of cars?
worth 330 million naira or so, or thereabout, the figure.
Has cars been delivered? I'm not aware if cars have been delivered at the moment. I'm still using.
But that sum has been budgeted for cars for members.
Of course. You know, I don't.
In these hard times.
No. Let me tell you, I will be the last person.
And members insisted on the imported cars.
No, you were not there. You asked me.
Why did you patronize the?
No, ask me. You asked me if members were approached with locally manufactured car. Let's take it one by one, so that Nigerians listening will be able to understand fully. My dear, I would not shy away from the fact that legislators need to move from point A to point B, and they should do that with a vehicle provided by government, not their personal vehicle. You don't say this when it has to do with the executive. You go to the ministries and the MDAs, you see directors, you see permanent secretaries, you see all of them, they have 2, 3, 4 cars. I wonder why when it comes to lawmakers, people feel it's undeserving for them to have basic. We're not talking about SUV. We're talking about Camry. There is no director that is not using SUV. And they are civil servants. And we elected representatives. And somebody argued last time and said, oh, it's because the executive they are making a mistake in spending so much money on some of those things. Why should the House of Rep or the National Assembly follow suit? It's not it. The condition of the roads in Nigeria where we go for oversight functions, not the rest of them, what we actually need is SUV. I've said it before and I'm not shying away from it. I don't care if the whole Nigeria attacks me on this. That is the truth. For example, I go to my village now.
There are no isolation centers in the FCT to help.
Are we back to
the National Assembly will spend 330 million on the purchase of vehicles.
Are we back to Corona? Because we can also compare it.
Look at it comparatively.
No. You know, if the National Assembly stays one place without doing their job, you criticize them. Are you saying they are going to use taxes to work? I don't understand it. Are you saying that if there is trade in this country, I will be one of the first person that will say, maybe we should use train and come to work? There's no means of movement. Are you saying we should walk to work? Or we should use bicycle to work? Because the way the message comes from the public, it's like we don't even deserve to have a bicycle. And yet when you come here, you see us sweating it out. Some of us stay here till 11 p.m. in the night. So it is unfair. Totally unfair for Nigerians to believe we don't deserve to be carried to work. Those are basic things.
I'm going to leave your argument.
Please leave it there because
processed by Nigeria.
Because you are conceding.
Before
you are leaving it there because you are conceding. I want you to agree that you are conceding that House of Rep members deserve to go to work using a vehicle.
I will leave your argument to be
on the grounds that you are conceding.
Processed by Nigeria.
No, I'll agree. I want you to agree that you are conceding.
Not on any grounds. Before we go now, Abia politics. Let's delve into Abia politics.
Yes.
Your kinsman has been convicted now and serving out his jail term, and there are calls that the leadership of the Senate should declare his seat vacant. Of course, that has been responded to, that the Constitution doesn't give it that power to declare his seat vacant. So my question is, what signal is this sending?
The Constitution is right. Because those who drafted the Constitution did that in consideration of fundamental principles that guide justice. And we call it natural justice. The principles of natural justice. And in that principle, one of the rules there is that fair hearing must at all time be upheld. But does he have a right of appeal? If the answer is yes, Has such rights been exhausted? If the answer is no.
His appeal has been turned down, by the way.
No. No. He has a right of appeal. He has not gone up to Supreme Court. Okay, you have convicted him. We cannot join issues with the court. Because speaking about what is before the court is even subjudicial. But speaking on his part, he has every right to ask for the next court to hear him out. Let's wait for him to be heard. And if there's another court for him to be heard, let him exhaust all his right of fair hearing. Once that is done, and at the end of the day, he's not able to obtain a justice that we seen to be done by a bystander, then we'll know that all windows have been closed. But as it is now, let me finish.
Even when he exhausts all his
no, but the Constitution,
So my question now is: Does the Constitution condone ex-convicts? Does it condone the weight, the kind of weight that he bears on that office, the moral weight?
The Constitution promotes justice, and in the processing of that justice, there are certain steps that must be allowed to take effect. One of which,
you don't see this as an unhealthy precedent.
Unhealthy in what form?
He has been convicted of a crime.
If he's convicted, he has the right to be heard by an appellate court, doesn't he? Whether he's right or not, whether the conviction is right or not, he has the right to be heard, by an appellate court. So we should allow him to be heard. Let me ask you a question.
So as a convict, he's also, because of fair hearing, entitled to his salaries and allowances to be paid while he serves out his jail term.
Let me tell you, in the history of the National Assembly, there has not been anybody that received a first conviction and the next thing they remove him from the role. There's never been.
But he also happens to be your kinsman.
He's my kinsman, and I'm proud of. I will not shake you. I'll use my elbow.
Thank you very much, Honorable Benjamin Kalu. And that's our offering for you on the program today. We hope that from this point, the spread of the coronavirus will be checked, and there'll be pleasant news in the coming days. Join us again same time next week when we bring you another incisive edition of the program. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now. So, can we do that again?
Thank you very much. And viewers, thank you for tuning in.
For the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah.